US President Donald Trump played golf on his course on the western coast in Scotland. President Trump and US First Lady have visited Scotland ahead of a summit with Kremlin chief Vladimir Putin. The summit could be overshadowed by accusations made by Trump that the Russians meddled in the US elections in 2016 at his Turnsbury resort. Trump waved at protesters who were chanting "No Trump" just a few hundred yards away on a beach beside the coast. Russian President Vladimir Putin met with his Palestinian counterpart Mahmoud Abbas in Moscow ahead of his summit with United States President Donald Trump. The two leaders discussed the situation in the Middle East, bilateral projects, and the relocation of the US Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. President Abbas said that Israel's plans to extend its settlements on the Palestinian territory was a major problem for Palestine. Families and friends of the Nice attack victims had gathered on Saturday evening for a ceremony to pay tribute to the 86 people killed in the Nice truck attack in 2016. A truck rammed into a group of people watching the Bastille Day fireworks display on the seafront promenade des Angelus. French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe also attended the commemoration after a Bastille Day military parade held in Paris. Wimbledon gets a royal touch. The Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, and Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, attended the Grand Slam tournament at All England Club in their first joint public outing. The sisters-in-law greeted ball boys and ball girls before taking to their seats in the royal box. Nine teams took part in this year's Swarm Football Championship in Russia. The one-of-a-kind game originated in Finland and was first held to help athletes prepare for cross-country skiing. The sport has gained popularity, with tournaments being held across the globe from Brazil to China. A new U.S. policy has put many H-1B visa holders at the risk of deportation. According to new U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services policy, the immigration officer is required to issue a notice to appear for NTA to any individual who is not legally present in the United States. The risk of deportation comes if a person's application for visa extension is rejected or they overstay their visa tenure. Over 100 demonstrators took to the streets of London to defend United States President Donald Trump's visit to the United Kingdom. Massive anti-Trump protests have taken place across the UK on the US President's maiden visit to the country. Thousands of people from the LGBT community participated in the 19th Seoul Queer Parade in South Korea. Around 15,000 people from the lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender LGBT community and their supporters attended the event. Homosexuality is not illegal in South Korea, but the Seoul Western District Court had dismissed a bid for same-sex marriage in the year 2016. U.S. Special Counsel Robert Mueller has finally cracked the whip. The U.S. Department of Justice has issued criminal indictments against 12 Russian intelligence officers accused of interfering in the 2016 presidential elections. All 12 members are part of the Russian intelligence agency and are accused of stealing usernames and passwords of volunteers Hillary Clinton's campaign. The UN General Assembly has elected Iceland to replace United States on the UN Human Rights Council. Iceland has nominated by the group of Western nations and received 172 votes. The other contender, France, received just one. Iceland will now have the seat until December 31st, 2019. The annual Bastille Day parade was headed by French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris. A Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong was the guest of honor at the parade that marks the storming of the Bastille prison in 1789, an event that was instrumental in sparking the French Revolution. Fighter planes flew over Paris and thousands of troops paraded down the Champs-Élysées to mark the occasion. A huge iceberg the size of a hill has drifted close to a tiny village on the western coast of Greenland, causing fear that it could swamp the settlement with a tsunami if it calves. As a precautionary measure, a high danger zone close to the coast has been evacuated, and the people have been moved further up a steep slope where the settlement lies. The government and police are on high alert and have moved a search and rescue helicopter closer to the remote village with about 170 inhabitants. Brazil has a major fake news problem, just like other nations across the world. A poll has indicated that Brazilians are more worried about fake news than citizens of any other country. To tackle the problem, the country has taken a stand against explosion of fake news stories by making media analysis studies compulsory for school children. Teachers across Brazil are ensuring their students do not take everything they watch or read at face value. Egyptian archaeologists have uncovered the details of an ancient pyramids. The shafts were discovered 30 meters underground near the Saqqara necropolis in the south of Cairo. The archaeologists are hoping the mummification workshop will provide fresh insight into the chemical makeup of the oils used by ancient Egyptians to mummify their dead. Israeli Air Force have conducted multiple strikes at Hamas positions, including a tunnel in Gaza following arson attacks along the Israel-Gaza border on Friday. The Israel Defense Forces have issued a video of the attacks conducted early today morning. Following the Israeli airstrikes, Palestinian groups fired a barrage of at least 17 rockets at Israeli border communities. Hundreds of Korean Air and Asiana Airlines workers have protested in Seoul, calling for the airline's management to resign after recent scandals over their bad behavior. The chairman's youngest daughter, Cho Hyun-min, was accused of throwing a drink at people at a business meeting in April. In response to the public backlash, Chairman Cho Yang-ho has made his daughters step down from their position at the airline and made a public apology for their behavior. But airline staff will continue to protest until the chairman also steps down. Hundreds of bikers rode through the South African town of Soweto to mark the 100th anniversary of the birth of Nelson Mandela. As part of the celebrations, bikers donated food, parcels and kitchen appliances to the Soweto Kliptown Youth Centre. The former South African president would have celebrated his 100th birthday on July 18th. Nelson Mandela died on December 5, 2013, after a long illness. Volunteers have flocked to the food-ravaged Okayama city in Japan to help with the disaster relief work. A group of men and women had driven 2 hours from Kobe to Kurashiki city to help survivors of last weekend's record rainfall. The death toll from the disastrous floods and landslides in Japan have risen to 204. More than 80 people are still missing and over thousands have been staying in evacuation centers. Severe flooding occurred in many branches of Yangtze River due to heavy rainfall, which flooded streets of nearby cities, villages and forced thousands of residents to evacuate. Tongganan district of southwest China's Chongqing municipality experienced a peak flow of Fujiang River. The maximum water level reached 245 meters, 7.16 meters higher than the warning water levels, while the flow reached 17,700 meters per second. Continuous rainfall over the past few days have triggered a landslide in Zhugu County of China, pushing up the water level of Bailong River and damaging some of its neighboring areas. As a result of the landslide, about 10,000 cubic meters of soil was dumped into the WION River. The water level of the river was raised by approximately 8 meters. Local departments and experts have joined hands to find a probable solution to tackle this problem. After being trapped for 18 days in the flooded Tham Luang cave in Thailand, the young boys of the Wild Boar football team have been recuperating in the Chiang Rai Prachanukro hospital in Thailand. A new video released by the Thai Health Authority shows the boys making sketches while sitting in their hospital beds. In a quarantine, some of the boys have been sending out messages thanking the divers and rescue teams for their efforts. Pakistan's Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa attended the funeral prayers for the election candidate Siraj Raisani, who was among the 130 killed in suicide bombings at a rally for the Balochistan Awami Party. On Friday, as campaigning intensifies, attacks in different areas of the country have stoked fear of more violence in the Muslim country. Pakistan's army will deploy about 371,000 troops on election day to protect the polling places. Australia's Rihanna Iffield and American Stephen Labu won the women's and men's cliff diving World Series in Portugal. Labu's win in Portugal follows his win at the second stop of the World Series in Spain. In the women's event, current champion Iffield finished ahead of Mexico's Adriana Jimenez. Jimenez still leads the overall standing with 360 points ahead of Iffield in second overall with 310. The next stop in the World Series will be in Switzerland on August 5th. Thousands of devotees have descended for the annual 9-day chariot festival in the eastern Indian state of Odisha. The Jagannath temple in the state is celebrating its 141st chariot festival this year. 3 richly decorated chariots resembling temple structures are pulled through the streets of Puri. This commemorates the annual journey of the shapeless Lord Jagannath and his siblings to their aunt's temple. Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj has arrived in Bahrain for a 2-day visit to the country. Swaraj was given a warm welcome by her Bahrain counterpart, Sheikh Khalid bin Ahmed Al Khalifa, at the airport. During the visit, Swaraj is scheduled to co-chair the second High Joint Commission meeting with Khalifa. She will also attend a series of meetings with the Bahrain leadership. Sri Lanka released 16 Indian fishermen who were arrested by the Navy for allegedly crossing the maritime border of the island nation. The fishermen who were arrested earlier this month were released by Colombo on the condition that if they were caught by the Navy again, then they would be imprisoned for 2 years. India's annual retail inflation reached a 5-month high in the month of June. The inflation was driven by a weakening rupee and surging oil prices. The rupee has weakened by 7% this year, hitting a record low against the dollar. The rupee's position has increased prices of imported items, including consumer goods products. Indian tycoon Mukesh Ambani has pipped Jack Ma to emerge as Asia's richest man, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index at the close of trade on Friday. The chairman of Reliance Industries, a refining and telecom giant, was worth $44.3 billion, with the Reliance Industries shares rising up by 1.6% to close at a record high of Rs 1099.80 per share. Mukesh Ambani has claimed that the size and profits of the Reliance will double by 2025. In the Himalayan desert city of Leh, a 2-day-long Buddhist festival concluded after completion of prayer ceremonies performed for 10 days by monks for world peace. The Leh is nestled high up in the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir, and hundreds of tourists and locals congregate at the WION Monastery to witness the annual festival celebrated in the 5th month of the Tibetan lunar calendar. Students in the eastern Indian state of West Bengal came together to cheer for Croatia and France ahead of the two countries' match in the FIFA World Cup final. Excited students played a football match, waved flags of both the nations and put a cake on to celebrate the World Cup. The final will take place on Sunday. We start with the football. Belgium have claimed the bronze medal at the World Cup for the second time in history with a 2-0 win over England. Both teams also faced each other in the group stage, where a second-string Belgium side claimed a narrow 1-0 win. The penultimate match of the World Cup was a similar affair as the Red Devils sealed a comfortable win through goals from the Thomas Munie and Eden Hazard. And the grand finale of the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia takes place tonight, with France taking on Croatia at Moscow's Luzhniki Stadium. Croatia made it to the final of the World Cup for the first time in history after they overcame England in the semi-final. 1998 champions France, meanwhile, will feature in their third final in 20 years and are aiming to lift the trophy for the second time in history. Behind the smooth running Russia World Cup event are the legions of migrant workers from Central Asia. These migrant workers are the ones who built the stadiums and kept them running. The staff concession stands and clean up after fans revel through city streets. They're among millions of migrants who perform menial jobs across Russia and face routine police harassment and ethnic profiling. Shifting attention to club football, Chelsea Football Club have appointed Maurizio Sarri as their new manager. The 59-year-old replaces Antonio Conte, who was sacked by the Blues on Friday. Sarri, who signs a 3-year contract, guided Napoli to 2 second-place finishes in the Serie A during the 3-year spell with their club. And Sarri has already begun building his squad with his new employers by making his first signing with the addition of Jorginho from Napoli. The Brazilian-born Italian midfielder followed in Sarri to Stamford Bridge after Manchester City pulled out a £50 million deal. The 26-year-old has signed a 5-year contract with the West London club. After Forbes declared Kylie Jenner's worth as $900 million and stated that she could become the world's youngest ever self-made billionaire, comedian Fat Jew started a GoFundMe page to make her a billionaire. "I don't want to live in a world where Kylie doesn't have $1 billion," he wrote. Kylie is the youngest member on Forbes' list of America's richest self-made women. Nancy Sinatra Sr., the childhood sweetheart of Frank Sinatra, who became the first of his 4 wives and the mother of his 3 children, passed away at 101 years of age. Her daughter, Nancy Sinatra Jr., tweeted about her mother's demise and stated that she was a blessing and the light of my life. Born in 1915, Sinatra was easily one of the greatest American singers of 20th century. His voice effectively straddled the genres of traditional pop, easy listening, and jazz.